What's up, Ham Fam? Welcome back to another episode of Heart as a Mother, and I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jizzy. But before we get started, in the spirit of reconciliation, we want to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 7 territory, the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Nations, including Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai, the Tsuut'ina Nation, and Stoney Nakoda First Nations. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. So for those of you who are new and just tuning in, we are just two moms on a mission to create a safe space for other moms and dads, or anyone really, to share in the honesty and the realness that comes with parenthood, while also being able to laugh at ourselves. And as usual, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Harleen.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm so excited. And thank you, Jizzy, for always, giving me this amazing, lovely intro. Things are opening up now. We're like, on phase two? Phase 3 is coming shortly. And it feels real good.
It does.
And also, we just finished dropping our Dope Dad episodes. And actually, when this airs, Father's Day
will have passed.
Will have passed. But I hope everybody all the dope dads out there has had an amazing Father's Day. So if you haven't tuned into it, make sure you check out the episode, because it was a lot of learning for sure from dads. Like, we give a lot of a hard time to some of the dads of what they don't understand about us, but being able to understand them, it's crazy. But anyways, we also wanted to share that we have a sold out golf tournament. Yeah. Wow. Thank you to everyone, to all our sponsors. It is just a blessing. Like we're just super, super excited. Yes. So lots of stuff, cool stuff coming your way. So make sure to check it out, and you don't want to miss anything. So make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you like what you see, you can support us by buying us a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/HA Mother, which we will link on our episode notes.
Yes. So we're really excited for things to come, and we wouldn't have done it without our Ham Fam. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. Let's get down to it. So you may recognize our next guest if you were at our Women's Day event called She See Her Empowered. It was an amazing event. And so she talked about the effects of mom burnout, and also gave some helpful tips on how to cope with it. And let's be honest, we are in the burnout boat together. So this episode really hits home.
Well, I just finished telling her that this episode came at a perfect time, because, guys, I really am like very, very close to the burnout. I'm just being real. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to throw my hands up. So I'm definitely feeling that. So this wonderful wife and mom of two, she's a certified postnatal personal trainer, and began her mission to help change the normal standard of care for mamas. So currently she is helping mamas bust through burnouts and exhaustion to thrive again, feeling energized, strong and confident in their feminine power through her coaching practice. I'm sorry if I butcher this, Strelle Wellness? Yes? So welcome, Renee Groenland. Oh my God, I'm so okay, so here, this is a perfect example of the burnout, because I'm a great speaker. I'm a great whatever. I've been struggling with everything. So that's when you can really tell I'm burning out, people. So forgive me. I'm so sorry. But welcome, Renee.
Welcome, Renee.
Excited.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's super excited to be here.
Yes, and it's finally here. We've been trying to get Renee on here since February.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and why it was so important for you to help other moms cope with this.
So I became a mom just after we got married, and my little girl is 6 now. Her name is Elle, and I hated being pregnant. I hated it so much.
First of all, thank you for saying that, because I did not enjoy pregnancy. It was the worst fucking experience of my life.
It was so hard. All of the sudden, you're growing a human. It's weird and abnormal, but all of the sudden, you're supposed to be okay with gaining weight and just allowing your body to change, and just overnight. And so that was really hard for me. And then I had a really hard delivery with her. Yeah. She was a stubborn one. but you know, it was a long time. And then postpartum was fairly good. When you have one kid, it's, you know, not too bad. You can kind of go out. We had a really good birth and babies group and everything like that. And that really got me going through it. And then had our second one just about 2 years after. His name is Henry, and he's about 4 now. And pregnancy sucked with that one as well. Like even more on your second one, because now you don't get to nap when you need to nap. And then postpartum was so much harder because now you're worried about her nap schedule, his nap schedule, everything like that. And you don't have the same tight-knit community that I had the first go around, because now the first moms, they're going through things at a different rate and everything. Like they may not have their second already. And so it was just all sorts of crazy.
How far apart are they? Sorry.
They're 25 months.
Okay.
So almost 2 years exactly. Yeah. And it was just a whirlwind. And I really found that physically it was that much harder. I'm a postnatal personal trainer. So I really focus on things like pelvic floor and core health and everything like that. And when you have your second, it's just harder. You're a little bit older. You don't have the time to dedicate to those kinds of things. But still for me, it was very much like on the first one, you still want to push and push and push, and you still want to get back to your pre-baby body, and you still want to just have that energy and that vitality that you still had before having kids. And so you just push through that. Then I went back to work, and it was different for me. It was not the same. There wasn't that support. There was very little information out there as well. So while I was on mat leave with Henry, I started doing my personal training certification and my postnatal certification and everything like that. And I just wanted to know more. I wanted to know more for myself. But then I found that the more moms I talked to, they're like, your pelvic what? And, you know, they didn't know. They're like, well, of course I'm supposed to, you know, pee when I sneeze. Like I'm a mom. Like, isn't that normal? It's not normal.
It's not?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I still do that.
Okay, first of all, I probably, and my son's 15. I don't know.
It is
I
not.
pee when I
It's
sneeze.
not too late at all.
Oh.
Go see a pelvic floor physio.
Shall we demonstrate
we do it
on
right
the
now?
table? Just kidding.
Yep.
Get on the table, Renee. Just kidding.
That's not me. That's pelvic floor physio. But yeah, it's never too late for that kind of thing. So go see your pelvic floor physios and get that dealt with. And but those are the kind of things, like that's just the common knowledge, and that's just what everybody knows is that you pee when you sneeze, you're going to have a bit of a mummy tummy, and you're just not going to have that same strength and energy that you had before. But deep down inside, I knew that shouldn't be the case. There is no reason why just because we are a mom, we should be tired all the time. Our hair should fall out. We should just look dull and drag and just, ugh. That's not the way motherhood should be. We weren't designed to be like that. And so I dug into it more and more and more. And the mamas that I talked to, they just felt it. They're like, I don't want to have kids to feel this like drained all the time. You have kids and you want to have that energy. You want to play with them and everything like that. So those are the things that I just started to dig into more and more, because I knew that there had to be another way.
Yeah. And thank you so much for saying that. I'm glad that someone said it, because everyone I talk to right now who's on their second kid, they're like, oh, it's just so easy now because we knew what to do the first time and everything is just so lovely. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm scared shitless to have another kid because I lost myself so much in the first kid, and everything was so hard, and everything is still hard. So adding another baby on top of that, I feel like maybe I'm just doing something wrong, or maybe I'm just not parenting the right way, because I don't want to have a second kid for the fear that I'm going to fail. But all these women around me are doing such a great job, you know? So that's one of my fears.
I don't think that it gets harder. It gets different.
Yeah.
And I felt the same. I felt that I lost myself very much after Elle. All of a sudden I'm Elle's mom. That's it. That's who I was. And I was a massage therapist before I had kids. And then I didn't have time. I was working full time with Elle, Then you go home, you don't have energy to do massages in the evening. And so I stopped doing that. That was a big part of me. That was like something that I was doing all the time. I was really good at it. And then I stopped doing it. I wasn't running as much anymore because of, leaking, and who has time to go for, a 10-kilometer run on the weekend, So those are things that you start to lose, and you just fill it with mom life. You fill it with diaper runs. You fill it with grocery shopping and just playing and everything like that, which has so many strong blessings, but it's hard on you as a woman. Like, you were someone before you were so-and-so's mom. And you need to remember that, because the more you add on to that, the harder it gets. Yeah. So for me, I was able to kind of jump back and actually find more of myself and re-spark that after Henry, but it took a while. And I don't want to say that it's easy having 2 kids. It is hard, like, especially in that, like, kind of under 2, like when the youngest is like under 2, and like now all of a sudden the older one gets jealous and everything like that. And you're trying to like navigate these naps and just all of the things. It's a lot. Yeah. Once they get older, like now mine are 4 and 6, so they can play together. They fight a lot. Yeah. But that's what siblings are for. Yeah. And so those kinds of things are getting easier, but it's just different. Yeah. So it's, you just got to see in your heart if that's right for you.
Yeah. A lot of the times we talk about losing ourselves, because I was really afraid at one point in time to say that. And even it's hard for me to even say it, to be like, fuck, I don't want to be a mom right now. Yep. Like, it's really tough, because I've had like very honest conversations with my son, and he's 15 now, right? But you still don't want to say that to your 15-year-old. But I just tell him, like, I was like, because he asks me such weird questions, and I'm like, how do I position this without making it seem like he was a burden? Because he was never. And I always tell him, I was like, if you didn't come into my life, I'd be legit a piece of shit. Like, I'd be selfish. I would not care about anybody or do good in the world, because all I could think of is just me. However, what I told him is there was a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish that I couldn't, because it had to really, I had to wait. And when you wait, sometimes it never comes. And do you feel like that becomes something you resent as a woman when you become a mother, but you don't want to say it, because then people will think you're a piece of shit for saying it?
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's funny, because my son will even say, what's your hopes and dreams? Like, it's weird that my son will be talking about those things. Like, what did you want? And then in one point in time, he said he felt bad for me because he came along. I said, no, that's not it. But it's just a matter of how I would position myself today or tomorrow without feeling guilt and everybody else putting their 2 cents into who Harleen is. Because I'm not just a mom. No. I really love how you said that, because that's who I was for, like, I think I can freely admitted it, like, the last 3 years. That's who Harleen was, just mom. I was nothing else but mom. It's hard.
Well, when you introduce yourself to most people, you're like, oh, I'm a mom of 2. Like, that's a lot of the time, that's going to be one of the first things that you say, right? Instead of, what are your passions? What's lighting you up? And, so definitely there are many times where I have resented my kids and my husband and everything. It's hard. Being a mom is hard work. And you need to mourn the loss of your old life. You need to mourn the loss of your freedom and changes. Sure, there's lots of moms who have lots of support and lots of help. They've got grandmas and mother-in-laws, and they can go for runs. They can, go see girlfriends and go out for nights and everything like that. But there's lots of us who don't. And so that makes it harder. And then you start to resent that even more. Yeah. And that is okay. Yeah. That's one of the messages that I want moms to know, is whatever you're feeling is okay. Sometimes you hate your kids. That's okay. You still love them.
So somebody actually sent something on our chat group today, which I opened up, like, I think before I stepped in, and someone says, "Oh, I love this. I love this girl." And she actually posted something on her social media. Shout out Sen. It's actually her. Sinisa, which is Albert's wife, where she freely said, she posted something on her feed, and somebody made the comment like, "Oh, thank God I don't have kids, and
Because I can do whatever I want.
can do whatever I want." What advice would you give to people who don't have kids and then say stupid shit like that to people that have kids, especially if they're your friends? Like, do you even make a joke about it? Like, how do you know, because people, like you said, people come in different stages. Like, you could make a joke to me and I could be in such a different place today and I'm like hating my life or being a mom today. Like, what advice would you give to people for say it jokingly or not say it? Like, how could they be of a support to their friends that have children?
It's so hard because I think all of us, when we look back at our pre-kids lives, we thought so many things. We're not going to bribe them with sugar. We're not going to put them in front of we're not going to put them in front of screens at the table and, everything like that. We had so many judgments and so many assumptions about our life as a parent and everything like that. And you don't know until you're in it. Mm-hmm. And so it's so hard to kind of give advice to someone like that because they'll never know. Because they'll never be able to feel it unless they get there, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's also just like an asshole thing to say.
It is.
And then like, even right now with the pandemic, how everyone has their opinion or whatever, it should go with everything. Like, let people have an opinion. Like, for example, like my brother, I would ask him like, "Oh, when are you going to have kids?" And he's like, "Me have kids?" Like people who have kids, I'm like, "Oh, did you watch the new so-and-so movie?" "Of course you didn't, because you have kids." He's like, "I don't want to do that," and I respect my brother's decision to not have kids. I respect it. And he has so many valid points. But I mean, people should, do that for everybody, no matter what they're talking about. Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Yeah. Some people don't want kids, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But keep your opinion to yourself.
Yeah. Just embrace people for their decision and just let them be and allow them to change their mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you need to seek and understand why people have a stand or a position in in a certain way. And that's just like in debating with anything. And I always tell people, like, you and I don't have to agree, but make me understand your rationale, and we might not agree still. And that's okay. But I come out with a better understanding of who you are. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Still might not make sense for me, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's, I feel like it's less intrusive, right?
And that's a lesson that I feel like moms specifically, they need to learn that. Yeah. Because it comes out in the, did you do baby-led weaning, or did you do purees, co-sleeping, or, in the crib, mm-hmm. like breastfeeding, formula, like all of those things. Every mom is going to take a stand, and they're going to have their way, and it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And so we just have to be like, okay, well, maybe if you feel comfortable with that person, why did you choose to do baby-led weaning, or why did you choose to co-sleep? Mm-hmm. I chose crib. And so I was just wondering, like, how does that help your family and everything like that? And then you just learn, and you're like, oh, that has some really valid points. Right. Like, for me, my kids have never slept with me in my bed. Mm-hmm. So now when we go to visit Nana and Papa in Edmonton, and all of a sudden there's kids in my bed, nobody gets any sleep. There is no sleep to be had. And so there's many nights when I'm in Edmonton where I'm like, I really wish we had done just a little bit of co-sleeping to just kind of get that out of the way. Yeah. So it's just that I find motherhood is very much this is the line in the sand, and this is, I'm either on this side or this side. Mm-hmm. And so, and it can change. You can be on one side for one child, and then if you have another one, you're like, well, now I'm on this side.
Right.
Because
you tried it already.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially with your first, there's so much more pressure as a new mom to do the no sugar muffins and the Pinterest birthdays and all of the things. But like, you have more kids, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, did I take a 6-month progress picture?
Maybe I'll just stick a Post-it on you that says 9 months and then take a picture.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, by the date, this would be about 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's about how big you were.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those kinds of things go out the window, and you just kind of roll with it. And that's just because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to put so much pressure on yourself, and it's going to get harder and harder and harder with each child as each year goes, because every time you are adding more to it. Now all of a sudden you were the Pinterest, Instagram worthy, perfect mom for a toddler. Now your kid gets into school and you're like, okay, well now I have to take all of this, and now I'm adding in all of these pressures for my kid to be able to read before they're 4 and, know they're all 50 states and, all of these things. And you just keep adding those pressures to yourself. And the more pressure you add to yourself, the harder it is, and the more likely you're to lose yourself again.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you think women do that? Like, to portray that things are perfect when things are falling apart. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. But why do you think we do that?
Media.
Social media has been super hard for that because, like, when we think back at our moms, were they really worried about what they were feeding their kids for lunch based on what the neighbor was feeding their kids for lunch? No, it was craft dinner with some chopped up hot dogs, and we thought it was amazing. And we turned out fine.
Yep.
Right? But now you see, Susie down the street, and she's made little dinosaur sandwiches. Like, they're all shaped in dinosaurs. And you're like,
sorry.
You're like, I don't even cut the crust off my kids' sandwiches. They just got to eat around it if they don't want it.
My son did that the one time, and I literally took his bread and I just ate it. I was like, here you go. Like,
I ate the crust.
I ate the crust. I'm like, here you go. Like, I'm not
going to cut this into a dinosaur.
And I'm not like, fuck, I don't have time to do that. Like, here's your grilled cheese sandwich. Yeah. And he kind of looked a little bit mortified. So now he does it himself. Because sometimes I forget. I'm like in a hurry. But
well, he's 16.
Well, before, right? But I feel like I kind of spoil him a little bit. But he's going to watch this and be like mortified.
So, Renee, I want to go back to your program and what you offer women, because I feel like you can help a lot of our listeners, and even just being 20 minutes into this podcast episode, I've already learned so much. And so what does your program entail for women right now?
So right now I'm doing mostly one-to-one coaching. I just find that mamas need that attention right now. We're coming out of the pandemic. They're weird. Nobody really knows, what's okay. What are you okay with? You haven't been okay with it for 16 months, and now you're supposed to be okay with it and everything like that. So I really want to be able to work with moms one-to-one with the issues that they're having the biggest stress. Because for moms who are burnt out, it could be work-related. It could be, something totally different. It could be a nutritional deficiency. It could be that they're not sleeping. So I try to tailor each offering to each mom specifically and really dig into, through coaching, what is going to be the best bang for their buck, and what did they feel that they're going to get the most out of. I do coach on kind of 5 main pillars: nutrition, sleep, exercise,
You're kind of been put on the spot.
Yeah. I can't remember the 4th one, but grace is the 5th one.
Yeah.
Because we need to learn that.
That's
as
important.
Moms. Yeah. And so just trying to look at the whole, passion.
There you go. I knew that it was going to pop in your head.
Like, it's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere. But those are kind of the main areas that we can kind of tweak and we can look at for moms and see where is it that they're struggling with the most. Because it may be something really simple that can give them that 2% boost. And sometimes that's all you need, is that 2% boost to kind of bring you from the weeds and start that ball rolling, and then get, for example, just adding more water and that kind of thing. Like, I've talked to so many moms and they're like, well, I drink coffee. Coffee is made with water. Does that count? Yes. Or sometimes I take a vitamin with water. Does that count? And I was like, well, it does count, but let's add a little bit more. And then you start these You start these tiny snowball habits and they just help so much better because all of a sudden now you're hydrated. So you feel like, moving more and having more energy and everything like that. And we work on those things while we're digging out, why are you in burnout? Because it may be a case like you were talking about, just overloaded, and you've got all of these little things and they pile up and they pile up. And all of a sudden you have work, and then you have, soccer, and then you have all of these little stressors adding on to them. And then it just compiles. And at some point you get to that very critical point and then you crash. And once you've gone over that edge and you've crashed, it is so much harder to dig yourself out of it than if you had just maybe paid a little bit more attention before you've gone into that complete burnout slide.
So how long do you work with women? Like, how long is the program? Is it kind of like as long as they need it to be? Or do you say like, okay, this is a 4-week program and by this date, and then you have like a mission by that date? Or
it's all per mom, because it depends on where they are on that spectrum. If they're really early and they're being proactive, then we may be able to get a whole bunch of things sorted before they hit that like kind of critical tipping point. But if they're so far down so they've had a baby, then they had another baby right after. So they're depleted nutritionally twice now. Yeah. And they're like they weren't maybe able to get as strong after each baby. And then you add on all of these stressors, going back to work and everything like that. You add on a pandemic, and now their baby's 4, their baby is 5, and they have just been adding stressor after stressor after stressor. And all of that chronic stress builds up. If you don't release it, it has nowhere to go. So it just keeps building up. So that mom is going to need a lot more time to kind of work through things than a mama who's just had her first baby and, she's good, she eats well, everything like that. She's just maybe stressed about the pandemic or stressed about something smaller and doesn't have quite that giant haystack of stressors built up onto her.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Actually, this could be of use to you too. I have a question for myself, but Heart I know is in the same boat because we talk about it all the time. So what advice do you have for moms like me? So for example, my birthday was 2 weeks ago and my best friend was like, what are you gonna do for your birthday? You're gonna take a day off? And I was like, why? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, what am I gonna do? And she's like, nothing. Like, do nothing. Like, you deserve to do nothing. You've been running around doing whatever. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna book the day off. The day comes, I log on my computer and we talk on Teams. And so she's like, why are you online? I'm like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. And she's like, why? And I'm like, I feel guilty when I don't do things. She's like, you need a day. Like Har says, we all need days to just be a piece of shit. Like just do nothing. I can't remember the last time I did nothing because I'm always trying to fill it with something. And I know you do the same thing. And we're all so guilty of it. And if I'm sitting down, I'm just like, fuck, are my weeds pulled? Is the laundry folded? And you know what I mean? Like there's just so many responsibilities that are running through my head that I could do. And I choose to want to do it at that point. So what advice do you have for women like me who do that?
Well, first of all, it's not just you. We all do that. I have a full-time job. And it is really hard for me to take an actual vacation day. There are a million things that I could do with that vacation day, but I still feel I just need to check in just a little bit because a big story that has been built around moms is that if mom doesn't do it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's also for women for a lot of cases and that kind of thing. So you build up this story in your head that if I'm not going to do it, no one else is going to do it. You're also thinking about these things all the time. You ask a lot of dads and you're like, okay, so Saturday, what are the kids going to have for lunch? And they're like, I'll figure it out when we get to Saturday at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like, but moms, they're starting to think about that. They're like, okay, well, if I go out for like around lunchtime, I have to start planning things and organizing things so that everything is organized so that dad can take care of it while I'm out. These are things that are mentally running in our heads all the time. So when you ask a mom to just sit and do nothing,
it's tough.
It's tough. That's like asking your heart to stop beating. Yeah. It just can't.
Yeah.
Thoughts are going to be there. Actions are going to be there. And we've built up such a habit of doing all the things all of the time. And this is why so many moms are burnt out, is because we don't know how to slow down. We don't know how to enjoy being quiet and calm because we haven't had that chance. And when we do have that chance, we feel guilty. Yeah. We feel that mom guilt. We feel that pressure to do all of the things because you log on to social and someone else is doing all the things. Yeah. Your phone bings and you get, a work email and everything like that. And so you don't get that chance to just check out and just ask yourself what you need.
Yeah.
And you're right to the point. Although sometimes in my own head, I am the only person that does it because I'm a single mom. And it's tough to slow down when shit needs to happen. I am the sole provider. I can't be sick because I still got to feed my child. Although right now, like Giselle was telling me, I'm like on the go and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, I'm sitting down and feeling guilty. And she's like, do you even realize how big your life has changed in 6 months? Is it 6 months, 8 months? And I didn't even know. And I was like, until she pointed it out, she's like, you had big life changes. You acquired 2 other children in your home and you only had 1. Yeah. Right? So I'm now responsible for 3 teenage boys. And it was hard. And I was like, so this week, I was so busy with everything else, especially with work. Like the big part was my full-time job. I literally have a piece of paper of breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, everything laid out. The way that I do it with my son, I do it for all of them. And this week, I didn't go grocery shopping on Sunday because I didn't have any fucking time. And I said, do it Monday, Tuesday. It is now Thursday. And I'm going to freely admit my fridge is empty. And all I've done is I said to the teenage boys, I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't go. Like, I felt guilty. And you know what they said? It's fine. We'll just figure it out. And I was so, like, I told her I missed one time because I was so tired. I missed packing a lunch because I slept in. And I texted all the boys and I was like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I didn't. And they're like, it's okay. We're fine. We just got a couple of snacks. And I felt guilty for 5 days. Yeah. 5 days because I didn't pack a lunch the one time out of the how many times I've done it. I don't know why I'm so hardwired like that. Yeah. It is frustrating and it's hard to shake it off.
Just for context, for people who don't know, our nephews moved in with her, our teenage nephews.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like one of the big and I even said to her, I was like, oh yeah, fuck, that happened. I didn't know. So, but before I have a question for you, but before I ask that question, seeing how this is a wellness episode, we want to give a shout out to one of our episode sponsor, Marco with Movement Matters YYC. Movement Matters YYC is here to change the game and not your typical massage therapist. If you need long-term results from tension and pain, look no further. At Movement Matters, Marco provides massage, fascial work, and other manual therapy techniques to give relief to people experiencing pain as a result of a condition or injury. His aim is to get to the heart of the issue, to develop a plan that includes a blend of therapeutic work and resistance training to ensure to be rehabilitated and strengthening you. If you've already tried massage, physio, chiro, and weren't happy, then book in a session today to yield real results. Visit his website at www.movementmattersyyc.com or check him out on Instagram at movement.matters.yyc. So my question is, has your clientele increased, decreased, or stayed the same during the pandemic?
Both. It has. The amount of moms who are reaching out to me and talking to me and engaging with me has increased exponentially. However, actually booking and like actually taking on coaching has decreased because moms, they just struggle putting more on their plate. And I don't want the coaching to do that at all. So, you know, we can book half-hour sessions instead of an hour because I realize that moms can't always book an hour, you know, every couple of weeks or once a month even for themselves. And because especially over the pandemic, just adding one more thing to mom's plates is just so hard. Yeah. So I'm starting to see the uptick now where moms are, because we're coming out of the fog a little bit, moms are like, okay, the adrenaline, that's the adrenaline that you were feeling. You're just like, go, 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 go. I've done all of these things for the last like 6 months and I didn't even notice that they were really happening and what kind of impact they were having. That's pure adrenaline. That's like when you bring your baby home and you're just like, I don't even remember what happened. And because you're riding that adrenaline high.
Yeah.
But what happens is you ride that high for so long and then it crashes. And so that's really tough. And now mamas are starting to really feel like, okay, I'm losing steam. I need to start putting myself back in a little bit of the spotlight. Yeah. I need to take care of me because if, you know, summer is a busy time for so many moms and families.
Yeah.
And now I know what's going to happen is we're all going to start to make up for lost time.
Yep.
We're going to book in so much more. We're going to see more family. We're going to go to more picnics and, you know, try to hit up the zoo and Heritage Park and all of these things because we felt so guilty for the last 16 months that we haven't done any of these things. Yeah. And so if moms can kind of get ahead of it right now, then they're going to do so much better because they'll learn and will go through those coping mechanisms that they can really pay attention to so that when they start to feel that adrenaline wear off or they start to feel like I'm just kind of living up here and I'm not really even like aware of what's happening, then we can kind of kick that in the butt and fix it.
Yeah. So I read a quote on, it's funny that you bring that up because I read a quote online that said, if you don't want to burn out, stop living like you're on fire.
Yes.
And I admit I live that way. And I feel so good when I accomplish things, but I know it bites me in the ass in the end. Like, do you think that that's what women are doing is just trying to chase that high? And then they're just like, fuck, I overcommitted too much and now it's biting me in the ass because that's what happens, right?
That high is celebrated. And that's one of the reasons why we try so hard to do all of these things is because you don't celebrate a mom when she's just relaxing, reading her book in the backyard while her kids like are running around naked and doing their own thing and yelling at each other and making a giant mess. That mom doesn't get celebrated. The mom who has the soccer snacks all prepared and the mom whose, you know, kids are doing really well and the kids all look good and she looks good and everything like that. And she's doing all the things and she's going for runs and she's working full time. That's celebrated. Yeah. Whereas the mom who's taking care of herself and slowing down, that's not really celebrated in our culture.
That's really fucked up to think about.
It really is.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's crazy because I know that at one point in time when Jaden was in kindergarten, so long ago, and I felt so alienated by these other moms who were stay-at-home moms because I couldn't get shit done. Like I was always running late. I was always like in my bag trying to get shit done to Jaden. And like, I would say hi because I needed that connection of moms. And I never had that. I think today is, and the last maybe like 2 years, and especially with this podcast, this is the most support that I've gotten from moms. And my son is 15 years old. So sorry, here we go. So it's crazy how we are just now supporting each other or saying that we're not okay.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to freely admit that I was not okay as a woman. I was not okay as a mom. I was not okay as a daughter. I just wasn't fucking okay. I think it was my brother who I cried to. And you know what he said to me? I was waiting to see when that was going to happen. I said, how the fuck you say that and not like talk to me? He's like, no, I watched you from the sidelines. I knew you were going to burn out somewhere. I wasn't going to be the person to tell you to slow down.
Because if he had told you to slow down, would you have?
No. My excuse is, who's gonna do anything? I'm a single mom but also I also feel like when I became a single mom, my family made me tougher. It was like, you are not a statistic. You are strong. You could do this. You got this, and I did, but it also weakened me in the back end, but not necessarily in the front end. I'm like, oh, look at me. But I'm like literally dying inside.
Well, that strength is celebrated. That strong single mom, the strong mom, the strong woman who's been through childhood trauma and everything like that, that's celebrated. I lost my dad when I was 10, and that strength, everyone's like, oh, you're so strong and everything like that. That was celebrated my entire life. I'm almost 40, and it's now coming up where it's like, that was fucking hard, And no one, when I was little, no one took me under their arm and said, it's okay to cry. No one said that, because that wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
Thankfully now, and I want to say it's probably been about maybe 2.5 years that it is now coming out that people are saying, I'm not okay. And that it's not that it's being celebrated, it's being accepted. And people are like, okay, you're not okay. How can I support you? And, how can I help? And everything like that. And it's that Me Too movement almost of, I'm also not okay. This motherhood, pregnancy, that fucking sucked for me too. And so, now women are coming out and saying it. It's like, oh, you pee your pants when you jump on a trampoline?
Me too.
I don't even jump on a trampoline. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate social media and that kind of thing for bringing that out.
Yeah.
It's that double-edged sword. You have the picture perfect Instagram mom who looks like a model all the time and her curated feed. And then you have the hot mess moms who are like, this shit is hard and I am just rolling in my pajamas because, I have a million other things on my plate.
Yeah.
And so now what we need to do is we need to create that community and that foster that support and say, okay, well, if you're okay, if you're not okay, let's bring that together. Yeah. How can we help you and everything like that? How can we share our resources? How can we listen to one another and truly let mums speak and let them get what they need to get off their chest and say it and then be like, I hear you. I see you. Sometimes they don't need any advice. They just need to speak. Yeah. And they just need to be heard. Right. And so that's been a huge thing in my coaching practice that I found is that moms are like, I don't even know if you told me what to do yet, but I feel 10 times better. And they just need to get it off their chest and they just need to say it. And moms especially are so smart. They're so they know the answer. They have the answer. It's just, they're putting it back. They're like, yeah, I know I should probably do that, but I'm just going to focus on all of these other things right now to distract me from that because that seems hard, but I know I should do it. Yeah. And so that's a lot of the undigging that I like to do in my coaching practice is just where can we find that, deep in your heart that these are things just getting up 15 minutes earlier and having that alone time to yourself to just be before the chaos starts or something like that, or, meal prepping or, all of these little things that can make a huge difference. But it's just I don't want it to add to my to-do list, but I want it to feel like it makes an actual impact. So,
and this is really hitting home for me right now because last night I told you I was gardening at 10:30.
In the dark. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was trying.
No sun.
I was trying to chase the sun. I was like, okay, the sun is still out. I can still see the weeds. I can still see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this really quick. But I could have waited until the morning, right? So, but everything that you just said is everything that this podcast is based on because when I had a kid, I felt like shit about everything. And then I found women who also felt like shit about everything. And I was like, do you want to hear me talk about shit? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was bogged down by social media. I was bogged down by people telling me what to do. I was bogged down by people expecting me to do things that other moms were doing. And it ruined me.
Yeah.
Like, it really fucked me up.
Yeah.
And I realized when I found like-minded people, I was like, there is a community of moms out there who want to talk about this shit, who want to bring light to the fact that this is all so hard and that there is a life, a harder life behind the camera of those who look like their lives are perfect, right? So that's exactly what we're trying to do here. And I mean, I love that you're here and you're talking about it. And if you noticed I was getting a little emotional, it's because I was talking, I have this conversation with myself in my head. But nobody to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to her about it, and I talked to my spouse about it. But to know that there are other women out there who feel exactly the same way I do, like shitty, and who are trying to get out of the whole societal norm, makes me emotional, because I'm like, I'm not alone, you know? So.
And that's one of the biggest reasons why I started Strelle, is because I wanted to create that community of just support, that village, that just, you know, everything is okay. So I recently posted on my stories about kind of that, your body and that kind of thing. And it's a big thing for me to talk about, is the idea that you can love your body, you can love it, and just be okay with it and everything like that, and just celebrate that. And I love that. I love it. But it's also okay to not love your body and to want to change it and everything like that. And I feel that that theme goes through so many different areas of life and that kind of thing, right? Like, you can love everything about motherhood, that nitty gritty details and everything like that. Or you can be over here and you can be like, I just want to tweak it. I just want to change it. And, you know, that kind of thing. And those are things that I want moms to be okay with talking about and just sharing, and we can just all come together and be okay with each other and love each other and support each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you to you and to Giselle. I know how hard it is to openly come out with your struggles, because it's not easy. And like, I mean, when we celebrated our first year, I was like, I've never cried so much in my entire life since I started this podcast. Not because this podcast makes me sad, but it has been an emotional release of every thing that I doubted myself, everything that when I go to bed at night, and did I do enough? Actually, just there's another mom that I was talking to. She's a mom of 2. And, you know, her kids one's graduating. And I mean, mine's 15, right? And you know what I said to her? And she's also a single mom. And I said, we become such strong women, and we were fortunate enough to have given the life to our kids, to our children. But the problem is, did I enjoy, and this is what I play in my head, because I have a couple more years with my son. Did I really enjoy motherhood? Did I enjoy it? Or did I just coast it? Did I do enough? Now that's just lingering, because he's going to be in an adulthood. And it's like, did I fuck him up? Is he equipped for XYZ? I lay at night and think about that stuff.
But my question to you is your motherhood ending?
No, that is a good point. But I feel like the need for me as a mother, like being there all the time, I think that's the part that I might be sad about, that he's no longer going to need me in the capacity that maybe it's like he's like my blanket, I guess. So
but now he's going to need you in different ways.
Yeah, he's always going to need you.
Yeah.
I always need my mom.
It's like when they were newborns, they needed you for everything, right? when they become toddlers and they start preschool and that kind of thing, now they need you to be their safe spot. They need you not to hopefully less and less to wipe their bum and, you know.
Well, fuck, I don't want to wipe his ass at 15.
Well, exactly.
Let's just hope.
Yeah. But like you need that, they need you in different ways. Just think about like your own parents now. It's just like, okay, we're grown adults. How do we need our parents?
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of thing. So it's going to change. And the best thing that you can do right now is to celebrate where you're at right now, because that anxiety and like worry from the past is just going to eat you alive. And so enjoy what you have. I know that's hard to sit in that moment and whatnot. And there's many days where I'm like, all right, so 2 kids, full-time job, my own business, and, you know, a pandemic. This fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks. I don't want to enjoy any bit of this. But then you look at the little moments and you're like, okay, well, I can't enjoy that, but what can I enjoy?
Yeah.
You know,
Good point.
maybe a snuggle, maybe, you know, this or that, like the little moments, and just trying to say, I don't have to love all of this, but what parts can I love with all of my heart?
That's a good point.
That is, I'm like, my legs are literally getting goosebumps as you say that, because I'm so good at reminding Giselle everything that, you know, like telling her like, you're enough, you're this. And then, and I'll follow that shit with my own. And it's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to be like, tell my girlfriends, shh, stop talking. I'm going to tell you how wonderful you are. You know?
Because
So before
we never tell ourselves how wonderful
No,
we are.
we
We
never
never
do.
tell ourselves.
No.
You know what?
it's so
I
hard.
fucking rock that dinosaur sandwich. It looks like a square piece of bread,
Yeah.
but it's a fucking great
Yeah.
square piece of bread
Yeah.
dinosaur.
So
like,
before you ask that the question, so I'm going to say to our audience, after you finish this, look in the mirror and say, I'm good at XYZ, whatever it is, or fuck, I like whatever it is, just do it. And then slide right into our DM and tell us how you felt after.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's really important because you saw yesterday that I held a poll, and so we got a lot of feedback on it. So I wanted to share it. But you already answered this because you said so 93% of our followers they're both moms and dads, and they said 93% said they suffer from burnout, and most of their reasons were because they're wearing themselves thin. So you said it's because, you know, they're chasing the high, and that's celebrated, right? And then ultimately it just kicks us in the ass. And 95% of them said they would like to find a solution to deal with burnout. So I know you specialize in resources for women, but what about men? Like, do you ever help your husband deal with burnout and like things that they can do? Because I know it's really different. There's like a gender gap there because moms seem like they do everything. But what about for dads?
for dads, it's a lot of the same things. So for moms, what I tell them most of the time is, how would you mother yourself right now? Like, if your kid was feeling this, how would you mother them? You would tell them to get some sleep. You would tell them to drink some water. You would tell them to have a vegetable. You know, those are the kinds of things, and have a hug, right?
Yeah.
For men, it's very similar. They don't have that same kind of like hamster wheel going all the time. You know, their hamster wheel stops to like think about football and soccer
Yeah.
and beer and am I hungry? I'll probably just go have a snack, right? Like, they don't quite have that same like constant. We have like 15 hamster wheels going all at the same time in different directions at different speeds. And the hamsters are all on crack. Like, it is just nuts up in there.
I'm gonna think about that next
Yeah,
time.
it's just
I was
like-
like, that one's on crack and this one's on
Yeah,
crack.
leave me alone. My hamster's on crack right now.
Yep. This hamster needs a little bit of a downer. Let's let him rest. Okay. Maybe turn off the strobe lights in there. Like, let's
I like that.
chill out the hamsters a little bit.
Love that.
But men, the testosterone in them is much different. They're also on a circadian rhythm, so they do everything on a 24-hour clock. Whereas women, we're designed through the society right now to do everything on a 24-hour clock, but we have our 28-day cycle, and that really plays into effect. So things are holding on for us a lot longer. Men, they're able to naturally go through that stress cycle a little bit faster. So a lot of the times they'll have a good sleep and they'll wake up and that stress isn't heavy on them. Whereas for us, that stress is going to carry us all the way through the whole luteal phase. And so we're just going to be like, this sucks that much longer, right?
Yeah.
Until we have that like next phase where we can cycle through it. So for men, a big thing for them is going to be something physical, some movement, some sort of just like, go to the driving range and just really like pound it out of those balls and just have that physical release. Women need that physical release too, but sometimes it's a bit different. It may be, I need a physical release, but I just need to do some gentle yoga. I just need to be easy on myself right now. I don't need to go for the hardest HIIT class or CrossFit or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do it all
She works herself to the bone when she's stressed.
When I'm stressed, a workout is a good one. Then I just feel like when I work out and it's like I tell my brain when I'm working out, it's like, shut the fuck up and do that fucking burpee. Like it's crazy. Like,
and do you feel better after or
Yes.
do you feel drained?
no, I feel better. And I was like, okay, like it's like heart's on crack. Let's go. Like it's not always a good thing because sometimes I can't sleep or now you've put 30 other hamster wheels on crack.
Yeah.
There. It's not always positive, but on the time, sometimes it is. And it kind of slows me down a little bit. It's just, I think for me, it's, I don't know, releasing all the endorphins that's coming. I don't know.
It's releasing the endorphins, but also when you're in exercise, you have to pay attention. Like even when you're running and you think you're not paying attention, you're still like, focusing on, okay, the sidewalk starts to dip here and everything like that. You have to be a little bit more mindful. And when you're exercising and doing those burpees, you're physically being like, okay, I have to make sure that my hands are there to brace me so I don't smash my face into the ground, right? And so a part of you is checking out of your stress because you can't think about your deadline and not smashing your face into this pavement at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So you get that distraction. The biggest thing with exercise that I want moms to really focus on is that if the workout is leaving you not being able to sleep, making you feel run down, making you feel like you're that much more tired, then you need to kind of back it up a little bit and make sure that you're cycling in different types of exercise. One of the best things you can do is a walk outside, get in nature, go into the woods, that kind of thing, especially right before your period and that kind of thing, then that's going to be one of the most restorative things for you.
Yeah.
So being able to really say, is this workout, am I getting rid of all the frustration? Do I feel like, yes, I can crush things now? Because we've all had that workout where we're just like, I am on top of the world.
Yeah.
I feel amazing. Those workouts are good for your soul.
Yeah.
But the workouts you're like, well, now I'm just fucking exhausted and I need all of the food. And now I can't sleep because my adrenaline's through the roof and everything like that. Now what's going to happen when you can't sleep? Now you're just going to sit there and you're going to think about everything for like the rest of the night. Then you're going to wake up tired. When you're tired, your sugar cravings go through the roof. So you eat more sugar, you have more coffee, and then that spiral just happens.
Yeah.
And before you know it, that tornado is starting to pick up more pieces of stress as it kind of blows out the whole city. So back to your question, sorry. Men though, that physical release is so cathartic for them. So, and just a lot of the time, and you'll start to notice this with a lot more men too, is like, they'll just zone out. They just need to kind of go to their like man cave and just you ask them like, what are you thinking about? And they're like, nothing. I guarantee you it's pretty close to nothing. Like it is just
Really?
like,
That makes sense.
they're just
Really?
like,
I was like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
I guess it is.
yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
no, we're always thinking about something unless they ask us and we're like passively aggressive. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything.
Well, your face says it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm not mad,
Yeah, I'm not mad.
but leave now.
Yeah.
So sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
A question. There's a question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So there's a question from one of our followers that she says, single mom of 2 young kids with very little help. Advice? So I guess she's trying to say like trying to avoid burnout, but she has no help to do it. What advice do you have?
It's going to be hard. And she, as much as she can, find those pockets that bring her joy. So one of the things that I like to talk about is like filling your cup, right? So the typical advice is to fill your cup. You go get a massage, you get a pedicure, you have a long bubble bath with a book and, some Chardonnay or something, right? I don't know if anyone actually drinks Chardonnay, but like those are the typical like social media answers. But when you're a single mom of 2, you don't have time for a fucking bubble bath.
Yeah.
It's 11 o'clock at night and you should be asleep.
I got a lot to talk about bubble baths, but not right now. Anyway, sorry, continue.
And so she needs to find little things that fill her cup. So whether it's like she likes to go outside and take the kids for a walk. Yes, it is a pain to get the kids ready to go out for a walk, and like especially if they're younger and that kind of thing. Yeah. But when she gets out there and she feels that much better, then that's going to be that release for her. If a workout is something that's going to feel good for her and the kids are around and she's waiting until both of them are napping at the same time so she can get her workout, she can't do that. She just needs to go and get it done. And if that means putting on Paw Patrol for the umpteenth time, you put on Paw Patrol. Give them some snacks, you pause your workout 15 times, you're still getting that through. And just kind of readjusting your expectations that I can only do my self-care when I have time for it. You just have to make it in little pockets. Yeah. If that means that you literally take your hot cup of coffee and that brings you joy, and you can't get your hot cup of coffee while 2 toddlers are screaming at you, you go outside, you close the door, they'll be fine for a couple minutes, and you just have your cup of coffee. You take a deep breath and just let it go. And just finding those little moments that you can kind of steal away and trying to add the joy into what seems like the mundane and that kind of thing, right? So that's kind of the best thing without knowing a little bit more of her situation, is to just kind of find those little pockets and bring as much joy to your life as you can, even though it sucks when it does.
So we have one last question from one of our followers. Is it normal or is it detrimental to deal with burnout using weed or alcohol if it helps a lot?
It depends. I know that's the worst answer ever, but it depends. And you could substitute weed, alcohol with food, Netflix binges, anything like that. And is it a distraction, or does it allow you to decompress and really process the stress of the day? So if you're using it as a distraction and you're just like, I don't want to think about it, and you're doing that, once every couple of weeks, and you're just like, I just need to get drunk and, forget about my worries for the day, and then that's fine. It won't feel fine the next morning, but it's, it is what it is. Is it every single night that you're just using it as an escape, where you sit down, you finally got the kids to bed, they should be asleep, you pour a big glass of red wine, you get your big bowl of chips, you throw on Netflix, and then 3 episodes of your show go by and you have just completely numbed out. You're not processing through your stress. You can use it as a moment of just chilling and relaxing, but you need to have another way to process your stress. So whether that's a workout, whether that's, deep breathing exercises, or just talking it through with a good friend or something like that. But if that's your only method to deal with the stress, it's going to be more detrimental in the long run. But to get through a short period of time where you're like, all right, this just, when we had the kids home from school for that couple of weeks, a couple weeks ago, for us, we had a quarantine. So we had a close contact in Henry's daycare. And then, so we had a week off extra with both kids home. And then we were all quarantined. And then we had the CBE shut down for 2 weeks. So then we're trying to homeschool Elle while keeping her brother out and everything like that. you bet there was more drinking. There was a lot less like healthy meals. We ate more takeout and everything like that. There was a lot more just numbing out in front of Netflix in the evening.
Yeah.
But it was a short period of time, you know? And then when that's over, you're like, okay, now what can I do that's going to be a little bit more productive to really process through this stress? Because the other thing too is your body keeps score. So if that's all you're doing and you're not processing your stress, that stress is like, you want to think of it as like crystallizing in your cells and everything like that. So when we process the stress, we need to clear that out. And so if you can find another way to clear that out, then you're going to feel so much better. But definitely there are times when just a little relaxation and a little numbing goes a long way. But just make sure that's not your only method.
Well, an hour is never enough.
I feel like we could keep talking all night.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to say thank you, Renee. Thank you, Giselle.
And thank you, Har.
Thank you, Har.
Thank you, Har.
Yeah.
For
You're
opening
fucking
up.
awesome.
Thank you. I am fucking awesome. Okay.
Hey, Jiz, your turn.
I'm fucking awesome.
Yes, we
And
are women.
What about you, Renee?
Fucking amazing powerhouses.
Yes.
So before we go, I want to ask you one last question. In this journey of yours to help other women, you certainly had to dig deep into yourself and find your passion that has become what you are today or what you do. But in the journey, what's the one thing you learned about yourself that you hope to leave as a legacy for your kids to learn from?
Oh, that's a tough one. That the answers are always inside of you. That you can trust your gut, you can trust your intuition, and those answers are in there. You may not want to hear them, and they may be a hard pill to swallow, but trusting them will feel so much better than listening to the noise from everyone else.
Absolutely. And that's a great piece of advice to leave with your kids. Yeah.
And every woman out there.
And everyone listening, every woman
Because you
out there
are fucking awesome.
Well, that's it for us today, Ham Fam. Thank you so much again, Renee. I know
you for having
everyone
me.
listening and or watching has learned so much from this episode. I know I did. So we appreciate you and what you're doing for to help empower women. So guys, guess what? We're still in a pandemic, and although the end is in sight, just please remember to wash your hands, wear your mask, be kind and respect other people's opinions, and most importantly, love yourself even on the hardest days.
Bye, guys.